gift. And at that point, I was still studying with Miss Hurwitz, starting to get interested in jazz. I was in my middle school jazz band, but only knew a few records. I knew Oscar Peterson because my dad's friend was a jazz fan, so I had Oscar Peterson playing duo with Joe Pass, one of those Killing Pablo records where he's doing a lot of stride. Oh man! And he's playing just like
Canonical, played by Rob Arthur Bakker for church organs.
I relate to piano music, but I didn't know a lot of people, so I related his kind of beautiful, freewheeling, triadic piano stuff to because Billy Joel was like, and Billy Joel was just like early Billy Joel, like no, I'm gonna forget it, but Street Life is the name of that record. The first record. And I was also into this stuff, remember? Of course. Now a lot of those so much, they're kind of repetitive. But I love George Winston, and I had just been to see him in Hartford, and I loved the way he played in this modal style that was very kind of taken off in the street world. Then I heard what I heard was this kind of world that was transcendental, and I didn't have the word for it. Strings. And then shortly after that, a year later, actually I guess I was 12. I should tell myself when I was with a friend, probably was a wise one to give me a hit. That's called Germans. And I heard that as I was on the trip and heard Are You Going? And his solo, and then it was like, that was one of those sort of out-of-body experiences. I don't think it was the drugs as much, but it cemented something in my consciousness of, with that, again, it was the harmony, it was something that I related to rock, but also this dreamy world, triadic stuff that I didn't have a name for it. And this intensity, this kind of ecstasy, those and some Keith solo were just a big, they really seeped in early on this.
On the Travels record, that solo is on there. Pat's phrasing is almost impossible to copy, but his sense of melody, how he will have phrases suggest another phrase.
Right.
He's just able to do it time and time again. And he's made a couple records with that. Think about his phrasing, and that is his sense of melody.
Well, you described it very well in the sense of how one very melodic, beautiful thing, which could kind of be its own entity, then leads to the next thing. And then what we have is nothing original in my language choice, but the storytelling. And Pat and I talked about that pretty quickly. So, just that that's what we valued in the music we loved was the sense of in your solo over the changes, the normative jazz thing that a lot of music we wrote was kind of in that mode. The value of telling a story. So it's the melodic strength in itself, but it's also point A to point B, where it takes you from the beginning to the end. Miles. So what? Why is that record so iconic? It's the sound, the swing, all these different things, but Miles' solo with such simplicity. It's like this story and where you leave the space, in sentences and phrases. But then with Pat, it's really, we're talking about the way he could sort of negotiate the triads through those kind of changes. It's just very much a case of that's his voice, and that's, I think, what everybody wants, to have a voice that's just your own, then it's like,
Bach, we all suck.
That is funny.
Bach has come up in so many interviews, whether it's Sting, I mean, almost everyone that I've interviewed brings up Bach. Obviously, you made a record where you did, was that a commission? Things on that record?
Let's see, was it a commission? Yeah, it was commissioned. In fact, there's 3 pieces that were commissioned, 3 pieces after Bach. There's 2 that are on that record, and I'm happy to say there's another release after Bach 2 coming out in May that will have the last one. So then those written pieces were combined with some of Bach's music himself and some improvisations, some mix.
Tell me about your relationship with Bach's music.
Oh man, I don't want to sound stupid, because as soon as you start talking about Bach, even like what Pat said, it's like you don't want to sound like an idiot, because it's so high, you know. And also, so many people have opinions about Bach and about what's right and what's orthodox and what's not. It's very interesting. As a piano player, it's really so challenging because there's nowhere to hide, is how I would put it. And I guess a lot of music is like that, but really very much with Bach, because of the content of it, you really are called to use the damper pedal to help out your phrasing, and so it makes you even more aware of your tendency to do that. You have to have absolute control over voicing, what I was talking about being able to manipulate the dynamic in every finger the way you want to bring out a melody while another melody's going on. And then also articulation, where that's regarded. So if you're dealing with even a 3-part fugue, you have so many things you have to be working. You have to be working on articulation, on dynamic control, and all these things just to even get in to be playing it right. So a lot of what Bach has been for me for years, studying most of these preludes and fugues, those 2 books, a couple of the English suites, a few other things, has just been feeling like I can play it right. But there's another level, which is of course trying to make something musically beautiful out of it, so it's very daunting, because it's so hard in that respect.
Is it hard to believe that someone like Bach actually existed and he wrote all this music?
It's like Leonardo, it's like Leonardo da Vinci. It's like a few people who come along and they're a point in history, also historically, where they're the summation and the apotheosis of one tradition, which was polyphonic vocal music, and this contrapuntal, with all these kind of rules that he broke. He either solidified them or made them a little different. So he reaches a summation of a polyphonic tradition, and then he opens it up to something that's going to be more harmony. But he's both, because the next thing that happens after Bach, eventually in classicism, is you get this is doing this, and it's great, but you're getting something that's also a lot of jazz. Here's my harmony.
Yep.
Here's my changes,
Yep.
and here's my melody. And with Bach, they're interfused. The harmony and the melody are one, and nobody ever kind of does it like that again. So yeah, it's really.